This isn't just a story of kings and battles. It's the tale of how language, law, and faith united clans and conquerors alike. How fortified burhs became the backbone of defense, and how faith rekindled under missionary monks preserved learning amid chaos. By the end, you'll understand why 927 AD marks more than a date. It marks the moment a kingdom called England truly came into being. When Rome withdrew its legions in 410 AD, Britain's provincial administration collapsed. Roads fell into ruin, cities emptied, and local rulers scrambled to fill the void. Without Roman troops, Romano-Britons faced raids by Picts from the north and Scots from Ireland. Desperate, some invited Germanic foederati, Angles, Saxons, Jutes, to settle and defend the land. These warriors arrived in longships, initially as mercenaries. By mid-5th century, archaeological evidence shows Germanic pottery and burials dotting the southeastern coast. As more kin followed, they outnumbered native Britons, seized farmland, and founded villages. Over the next 2 centuries, 7 principal kingdoms emerged, the so-called Heptarchy, Kent, Jutish, first to embrace Augustine's 597 mission, and to mint gold Thrymsas, Sussex and Essex, southeast Saxons, maintaining shifting pagan to Christian courts. East Anglia, Angles, heirs of the Sutton-hoo-Wulfingus dynasty, prosperous in North Sea trade. Mercia, Midlands, rising under Penda and Offa to dominate its neighbors. Northumbria, Dira plus Bernicia, home to Lindisfarne and Whitby's golden age under Kings Edwin and Oswald. Wessex, West Saxons, a smaller realm, whose burh network would later thwart Viking invasions. Christianity, nearly lost after Rome's exit, revived under Augustine in Kent and Irish missionaries from Iona. Monasteries became scriptoria, preserving Latin classics and Old English poetry. Christian law codes introduced new social norms, while shared language and faith bound the kingdoms culturally. Yet constant rivalry defined the era. Edwin of Northumbria briefly held sway over Essex and Mercia. Penda of Mercia won pagan victories but fell at Winwade, 655. And Offa of Mercia built the great earthwork Offa's Dyke by Wales' border. Meanwhile, Wessex quietly fortified burhs, wood and earth strongpoints that would prove vital against the coming Viking storms. In 793 AD, Norse raiders struck Lindisfarne, heralding a new age of seaborne attack. By 865, a great heathen army sought conquest, overrunning East Anglia and Northumbria. Only Wessex, under its future hero Alfred, remained defiant. Thus the stage was set, a fractured land reborn through battle, faith, and resilience, on the brink of forging a unified England. In 793, the raid on Lindisfarne shocked an England ill-prepared for lightning strikes from the sea. Monasteries, repositories of wealth and learning, proved irresistibly easy prey to Norse longships. Over the next 7 decades, successive raiding bands escalated into a full-scale invasion. The so-called Great Heathen Army landed in East Anglia in 865, determined not merely to loot, but to conquer. Kingdom by kingdom, East Anglia, 869, Northumbria, 875, Mercia, 874, fell or paid tribute. Only Wessex, under a succession of determined kings, held out. When Æthelflæd of Wessex died in 871, his brother Alfred inherited a realm besieged by Danes. With few fortified towns, a depleted army, and scant resources, Alfred first bought peace through tribute. But in 878, compelled by incessant raids, he mustered what forces remained and surprised the Vikings at Edington. His victory forced the Danes to accept terms. They settled in eastern Mercia and Northumbria, swore loyalty, and paid for peace. Alfred's genius lay not only on the battlefield, but in statecraft. He reformed the military by creating a network of burhs, fortified towns at strategic points, each garrisoned and interlinked by roads, so that any corner of Wessex lay within a day's march of refuge. He also built a modest navy of longships to contest control of the coasts. Alfred's legal code blended Mosaic, Christian, and Germanic traditions, reaffirming royal authority. In 886, Alfred retook London and consolidated Wessex and Mercia under his overlordship. The remaining Viking territory became the Danelaw, governed by Danish law and custom, but bounded by a treaty that recognized Alfred's supremacy. By the time of his death in 899, the last Anglo-Saxon king had preserved a seed of English unity, a reorganized army, fortified towns, a system of justice, and a vision of a single realm capable of resisting foreign invaders. Alfred's son, Edward the Elder, war 899 to 924, built energetically on his father's defensive network. Partnering with his sister Æthelflæd, Lady of Mercia, he pressed the reconquest of Danelaw lands. Æthelflæd established fortified burhs at Tamworth, Bridgenorth, and Stafford, extending Mercian influence. Edward erected new burhs at Oxford and Buckingham, binding Mercia and Wessex ever closer. From 911, Edward and Æthelflæd campaigned to bring East Anglia, the 5 boroughs, and Northumbrian enclaves under their sway. In 917, Æthelflæd successfully persuaded the East Anglian leaders at Gaining to accept English rule. Meanwhile, Edward captured Stamford and Towcester, cutting Danish territories in two. Despite her death in 918, Æthelflæd's burh network held firm. Edward annexed all Mercia and appointed loyal ealdormen to administer it. Edward's strategy combined marriage alliances, tribute, and shows of force. He married twice into Mercian and East Anglian dynasties, consolidating loyalty. In 921, he met the kings of Scots and Strathclyde at a royal assembly in Tamworth, asserting overlordship across Britain. By the time of his death in 924, nearly the entire island south of the Firth of Forth recognized Edward and his heirs as Bretwalda, wide ruler, paving the way for true unification. Æthelstan, our 924 to 939, Edward's eldest son, inherited a realm vastly larger than Wessex alone. In 927, he secured Northumbria after the Viking king Sitric died without heirs. Now styling himself King of the English, Æthelstan issued the earliest surviving law codes that applied uniformly across Wessex, Mercia, and Northumbria. He standardized coinage, charters, and ecclesiastical structures, strengthening royal administration. In 937, a coalition led by Constantine II of Alba, Scots, Olaf Guthfrithson of Dublin, and Owain of Strathclyde marched on York to wrest control of the northern earldom. Æthelstan, forewarned, mustered an army of English, Scots, Mercians, and Welsh levies at Brunanburh. The battle, immortalized in contemporary verse, was a bitter, bloody fight, but Æthelstan's forces prevailed decisively, crushing the alliance. Brunanburh became an English foundation myth, proof that a united English people could stand against external foes. After Brunanburh, Æthelstan turned south, forging treaties with Frankish and Slavic rulers, sending gifts to European courts, and establishing Winchester as a glittering capital. His reign saw the first English mint at York, expanded bishoprics, and a royal household that patronized literate clerks. Æthelstan died childless in 939, but by then England had become more than a geographic description. It was a unified polity under a single crown. Æthelstan's death in 939 invited a Viking resurgence. Olaf Guthfrithson seized York. Edmund Ironside of Wessex swiftly counterattacked, retaking Northumbria by 942. After Edmund's untimely death, his brother Edred, or 946 to 955, permanently subdued Northumbria and quelled the Norse threat. Edred relied on ealdormen and bishops to enforce royal justice, ensuring that no single magnate could challenge the throne. When Edred died in 955, his nephew Edwig initially shared the kingdom with his younger brother Edgar. Edwig's reign proved turbulent. Nobles rose against him, leading to a joint rule arrangement where Edgar controlled Mercia and Northumbria. Upon Edwig's death in 959, Edgar R. 959 to 975 reigned unopposed. His epithet, the Peaceful, reflects a period of internal consolidation. Coins bore a standardized design. Monastic reforms spread under figures like Dunstan, and Edgar toured the kingdom to preside over synods and law codes that reinforced royal authority. Under Edgar, the last vestiges of the Danelaw were integrated. Place names and legal customs survived, but under an overarching English framework. The burh network, Alfred's legacy, formed the backbone of defense and administration. By Edgar's death in 975, an island once fragmented among competing Germanic warbands, Viking earls, and Romano-British enclaves, had become the Kingdom of England, territorially coherent, culturally unified, and ready to face the next millennium. And that brings us to the close of our journey, from the crumbling Roman frontier to a unified kingdom under Edgar the Peaceful. If you enjoyed diving into the dramatic birth of England, give this video a thumbs up and hit subscribe for more deep dives into the world's greatest historical turning points. Ring that notification bell so you never miss an episode. Thanks for watching Historical Edge, where history's most enduring mysteries come to light. Until next time, uncover the truth and embrace the unknown.